Ladies and gentlemen, the individual in Long Island who claimed he got hit by an SUV lied. And it's weird because apparently they went to the hospital and they filmed it and they're like, oh no, woe is me. The guy was released without charges. And as it turns out, Black Lives Matter protester lied about being hit by a car and they will be charged. I'm not surprised by the story. It's the name of the game. Hate crime hoaxes, MAGA country, whatever. It happens all the time. How many videos do we have of Trump supporters being attacked or beaten or insulted or harassed for expressing their support for the president? And then we have all of these other stories on the other side that turn out to be hoaxes. Look, they cheat. That's what they do. You see, this story isn't the only story I have for you. There's another story out of Oregon where a guy wrote a fake letter harassing himself and then admitted it because it spiraled out of control. How many times do we have to deal with the lies and the deception? And how many, I'm just confused. I'm confused why these people keep falling for it. How many bunk stories have to come out about Russia, Trump, conspiracies, fake news before people finally say, hey, they're lying to us? Apparently, there is no number. They can just keep doing it and it keeps working. Let's start with the first story. From News 12 Long Island, Black Lives Matter protester lied about being hit by car. It's a rather short story, but I got to be honest. A man who claims he was hit by a car during a Black Lives Matter protest is facing charges for allegedly lying about the incident. Police say Keith Harrison was at the protest on Monday when cops say a quorum man hit a pedestrian in Huntington Station. Harrison of Hempstead told cops he was also hit, but investigators say the photos show he was not hit. Meanwhile, driver of the SUV, Anthony Camberari, is charged with assault and is accused of hitting another protester. So there you go. It's a stupid story. Protesters are making up, trying to pretend they're victims. We saw something in Times Square the other day where the news published this big story saying an SUV plowed into the protesters, when in reality, the car was stopped and the protesters were deflating the tires and jumping on it and banging on it before they slowly inched forward and then drove away. And that's what the media does. Because they fall for it all the same, and they're not interested in doing their jobs. And that's how we end up with stories like this as well. Oregon politician who claimed he received anonymous racist and homophobic letters sparking a police investigation confesses he wrote it himself and says the stunt spiraled out of control. I'm sorry, man. I'm just so sick of it. It's going to keep happening because that's just the country we live in now. We actually have people who are so desperate to prove they're victims, they stage the attacks against themselves. Meanwhile, when you have a Trump supporter actually get attacked, or when a vehicle is being pounded on and jumped on and the tires deflated, it's the perpetrators are the victim. When you had these dumb protesters dancing on the highway and a guy crashed into him, he's the one who gets arrested, and nobody comes and arrests the protesters for standing and dancing on the highway, which you can't do. It's illegal. They were obstructing a highway. That's what we get. Here's the story on the other guy. An Oregon politician admitted to writing a racist and homophobic letter to himself after previously claiming it was left anonymously in his mailbox. Jonathan Lopez alleged he received the letter in late June, warning him that he was not welcome in the area and that people like him are targeted with violence. I'll put it that way, are killed. It was signed, Sincerely America. Hemerston police revealed Monday that their investigation found Lopez penned the hate-filled rant himself and made false statements to the police and on social media. Police say the criminal investigation into the intimidation has now been closed, but that Lopez may be charged for initiating a false report. What do you mean he may be? Just do it. Just arrest the guy. Lopez claims he never meant to file a police report and only wanted to use the fake letter as an example, but the case spiraled out of control. From the onset, this alleged incident has been thoroughly investigated, Police Chief Jason Edmonston told East Oregonian. Our investigation has shown that Mr. Lopez wrote the letter himself and made false statements to the police and on social media. The politician claimed to have received the racist letter on June 23rd from an anonymous person. The next day, he told police and local media that he did not know who sent it and had found it in his mailbox. I am now going to read some of this letter, though it is blurred. Mr. Lopez, F you and your, wow, I don't know what that word is, and choir loving self. You're not welcome here and will never. Okay, I'm not going to read. This is stupid. It's riddled with typos. It's obviously fake. F you, you Mexican or whatever. And then it says, Sincerely America. He shared the letter publicly to Facebook with certain sections blurred out, claiming he had been told he was not welcome here. And then they read the letter. In a post accompanying the letter, he wrote that he had no resentment from whoever wrote this. As an American-born man who served in the USCG, Fire and Rescue Services, I'm also proud of where my parents and grandparents were born. I have lived a life full of obstacles and challenges, including racism. There is no room or tolerance of that. He had removed his social media profiles as of Wednesday. They say Edmonston said that he was disgusted to learn that Lopez was responsible for the letter and that his actions needlessly added to racial tension across the country. The time spent on this fictitious claim means time lost on other matters, not to mention it needlessly adds to the incredible tension that exists in our nation today. As a lifelong resident of this diverse community, I am disgusted someone would try to carelessly advance their personal ambitions at the risk of others. Gee, why is this so common? Bubba Wallace found a noose in his garage, the victim of a vile racist attack. Except that was a garage pull rope. Jussie Smollett said 2 people approached him yelling, "This is MAGA country." And why? In the Jussie Smollett story, the police said they believe he did it because it was going to increase his salary. It was going to give him a negotiating position. That's all. That's what it's all about. This guy was trying to generate press. First of all, why are people so stupid they would do this? And second of all, why are they so stupid they can't pull it off properly? This is it's just such trash. And people do this all the time. And I tell you what, man, how many times this happens where we don't actually ever get confirmation it was fake news? Well, here we go. Here's another story. Check this one out. This is what we can expect to get in the future of policing. Now, mind you, this next bit is from Vancouver. Investigators would like to speak with the driver responsible for defacing a recently installed Pride crosswalk at 16th Street and Esquimalt Avenue. If you have information, please call. And here's a photo. You see, they painted a crosswalk a rainbow, and there is a tire tread mark over this. They then show someone driving a car over this and making a turn. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now apparently a crime. They have, here's what they said. Crosswalk update. We have identified the driver of the vehicle involved in the incident. Thank you for those who have come forward with information. Styx Hexenhammer, because he's usually the top post on Twitter, said, "You're too dumb to solve actual crimes, so I am glad you are proud of yourselves for this major victory." I agree, Styx. It is now apparently investigation worthy to drive on a road. You painted on a road. Someone drove over it. Tires sometimes leave marks. This is what you get. When it's not a hoax, they will still investigate this stupidity. Now, again, this is Canada, so sure. And West Vancouver PD is getting ratioed, but come on, it's happening in New York City as well. From the Daily Caller, painters have begun work on a Black Lives Matter mural on the street outside of Trump Tower, NYC. There it is. This is what we get. Somebody will stage a fake hate crime or hoax or whatever. It'll become a major story. Everyone will cry and weep over it. When it turns out it's fake, nobody cares. The only people who care are people like us, I guess, who want to know the truth. Now, they'll accuse us of saying we won't cover it. You know, when the hate crime actually happens, we won't cover it. No, hold on. I will. Look, the guy drove over the rainbow thing. You want to find the guy? There you go. I'm covering it. I'm talking about it. Now they're painting a Black Lives Matter mural in front of Trump Tower. Sure, I'm talking about it. They are engaging in these acts that are overtly biased, where they grant favorable coverage and protection, but then sure enough, they don't care to present the other side. Let me tell you, if they're going to paint Black Lives Matter in the street in New York, then what happens when someone paints literally anything else? Are they going to grant a permit? What we will likely see, in my opinion, lawsuits across the board. Yet in that it was like Costa County, California, I'm not entirely sure. When they painted over the Black Lives Matter mural, that was a hate crime. So this is where we are as a country. We have people just in general knowing they can empower themselves, they can bolster their careers, they can make money by doing this. Many of them get away with it. It's the stupid people who get caught. And when it's not being staged, the city is sanctioning political messages being written on our streets. I can't imagine why somebody would want to live in New York City at this point. Now, maybe if you're a fundamentalist fanatic for intersectionalism, you're cheering the fact that your religious message is being plastered all over the streets. But if you're not, what are you still doing there? You can work remotely now. You can get away from all of this. I certainly feel like it. Some people are, there's something, they're calling it right flight, I guess. Conservatives fleeing cities. I don't think that's true. I think people in general are trying to get away from all of this, because if you're going to get arrested or investigated at the very least because you drove over a crosswalk and left a mark with your car, why would I want to be anywhere near these lunatic fanatics? I would not. I do not want to live in a country where they want you to agree with their weird, freaky worldview. And if you don't, they'll pretend like they're victims, use that to empower themselves, and stupid people won't speak up to save their own lives. So you know what? I'm not surprised many people are fleeing the cities. But there you go, man. It's not the first. It won't be the last. We will see it again. I got a couple more segments coming up in a few minutes, and I will see you all shortly.